Yo, what's up, homies? Have you ever tried building a custom spruce tree only for it to turn out absolutely dreadful? Well, don't worry, we've all been there, unfortunately. But I've got good news! This is the video for you, so let's get into it. There's two styles that we're going to go over today that I feel, kind of go hand in hand and are most useful in pretty much any application. There's, of course, the big, full-size spruce trees like we've got here going up behind our new cabin. But then there's also the smaller saplings that are kind of like filler for between the full-size trees to, give the forest a more full feeling. Now, the materials list is very simple. We just have spruce logs and dark oak logs that we interchange, back and forth to add a little bit of extra detail and color to the trunks of the big ol' spruce trees. For the little saplings, we'll use spruce fence. Occasionally, we'll throw a dark oak fence, but mostly just the spruce fence. For the leaves, we use just spruce leaves, nothing else. Just these, and spacing them out properly makes them look very, very good. And then, for a little bit of added detail on the trees, we'll use some spruce buttons to simulate, like knots on the side of a tree, and then the spruce trap door kind of simulates little branches sticking out, like beneath the leaf line, if that makes sense. So why don't we build one so that you can get an understanding for what I'm yapping about. So we'll start over here with some spruce logs going up, switch to dark oak here and there, pretty much as I was saying, just interchanging them whenever we feel it necessary, or yeah, I don't know. It's kind of random how I do this. So here we are at the top of the tree. We've got, the different logs up and down it a little bit. And now from here, since we're at the tippy top, I usually start with the leaves up here. I'll do like the top 3 spots, or maybe 4 if I can reach that. I think I can. Nope, not right there. And then I really just try and get the top set up. So like in the corners, I'll add a little bit extra here, something like this. And then up here, we'll extend this up 1 or 2, maybe 3 blocks. And then it will look like this. Now, looking at it from down here, 3 may have been just a little bit too tall, but we can always edit that once we get up there again. So now that we've got the trunk set up, we can start deciding how high we want our leaves to go. And also, we can do a little bit of this stuff, placing some knots here and there, and maybe a branch is sticking out right here, and also a higher one sticking out up there, perhaps, just randomly placing stuff just to make it look more like a natural tree, if that makes sense. And then occasionally, like maybe down here, there's a little bit of wear and tear on the base of the trunk of the tree. So, it's lost a little bit of bark. So we'll strip that out. Maybe strip a couple more up here. We'll just do one of the dark oaks. And then that is pretty much where we'll leave below the leaf line. So I think what we'll do, we'll start the leaf line above this one, which is a little bit higher than I can reach, unfortunately. So we will come up here, and what I typically do is add a couple stacked on top of each other, and then the first branch comes out like this. So let's say we go out to here with the first branch. You know what? Let's actually make it a little bit wider so that we've got some room to work with. And then I think this is where my technique differs just a little bit. I will go down like this, and then we'll get rid of these 2, just so that it's a little bit more airy, but also so that the branches kind of droop down just a little bit on the edges. So now that we've got the general shape of the droopy branch, I think what we'll do is go back. I want to add another one right here. I think it might look a little bit better if we do that, but also add another one right in here, and then take that back. And that helps the shape. Oh, that actually helped the shape quite a bit right there. So let's see on the other side. The other side could also use a little something like that. And then maybe we will add another one right there. I think that will be a good spot. Yeah, that fills up that spot really nicely. So now that we've got that first branch, what we do is pretty much just mimic this all the way around and slowly work our way up. So now we'll go ahead and do another one on this side, but we'll go up just a little bit higher, just like that. And then this one, maybe we'll work out a little bit straighter in this direction. A little something like this. I think we'll take this one back. And now from this side, we'll start working our way down yet again, just giving it that little bit of droop that we're looking for so that it looks like a branch hanging out way far away from the base of the tree, the trunk of the tree, I should say. And since we have our scaffolding here, maybe we'll even add a couple way down here and see if that works. If not, hey, we can always remove them. All right, so our second branch is up, and you can see there's a little bit of a gap here. So I think what we're gonna do is just add a couple leaves in here like this maybe, and that kind of helps fill it out just a little bit, make it look a little bit more natural. This one seems out of place, so we're gonna get rid of that. And now that we've got leaves and branches all of the way around, I think we're gonna hop up here and just fill in this little gap a little. I think this needs to be a little more closed up than not. And I think that might have actually done exactly what I needed. Now, before we continue going up with the tree, there is really one thing that you should keep in mind when you're building custom trees like this. Trees aren't perfect. I mean, just look out your window. There's branches missing. There's big patches of leaves that aren't there. So like this one, for instance, there's a gap right there. And, you know, I could have filled it in, but it looks a little bit more natural when the trees have imperfections, in my opinion. But as long as it has the right general shape, I feel like if you leave imperfections, it really does make it better. So that's just something to keep in mind. But now back to building, you can kind of see that we're working with that same shape. There's the cone up there, and it kind of leads itself right down to as wide as this went, luckily, which, you know, this takes some trial and error, getting the bottom layer the right width, I would say, the right radius all of the way around the tree. And also, depending on how wide you went with this, you could always just extend this up higher or lower just to kind of match the shape that you're going for. Like, if I wanted this to be a little chode tree, I could cap it off right there and just make it get really wide at the bottom. But we're going to do a full-on tree. So now we got to go up to the next levels, and this is pretty much just doing the same thing as before. We're just kind of working our way around. So I think we'll start over here where it's a little bit low, and we'll put a knot in the tree. We're just going to put a knot right there. You know what? We're even going to put a branch above it. Maybe there will be a little bit of a gap right here, and that's, you know, a-okay. So we'll go up a little bit further, and then this branch below us went straight that way. So with this one, we don't want to do that. We don't want it to look perfectly uniform. So we'll extend it out in kind of like almost two different directions. So we've got the base of that done. And then down here, we'll just do what we've been doing with the other ones and add a couple extras down and out so that it gets wider, but it also keeps that droop factor that we like. And then we just got to get back up in here and delete the ones that we don't need, and I can't get it. So you see there's a little bit of a gap in here. You might not notice this at all, honestly, like unless you're standing pretty much right there. You might just not see it. So we've got a couple branches in on the next level up, and then I think this next one we're going to go up just a little bit, and I think we'll go straight out just like this. So then we'll step down. This one's going to be a little bit skinny compared to the rest of them. So I think that's all we're going to do with that branch. There's a little bit of a gap here, and that'll just kind of add a little bit of character going around the tree. Now over on this side, there's a big gap between where the next level of branches are and the bottom level. So I think what we'll do is add a branch without leaves right in here. Maybe we'll even go too long. So we got a leaf next to it on one side, and then I think what we'll do is go out like this, kind of this direction. Then we got to, of course, drop down and do what we've been doing on all of the rest of them. Delete those two blocks just to give it a little bit of space in there. And then back over here, it looks like we've got room for one more branch sticking out this way. So I think what we'll do is go just like this and then hop down and do our little step down, and maybe we'll even leave that one as is. Let's go see what it looks like. Okay, so we've got the second level started, and it's looking pretty good. There's a couple gaps in it, which I do enjoy. We may fill in some of them, like right in this area. When I do that stuff, I typically wait until the whole tree is done and then go fill in if it needs to be filled in, or even remove some if I feel like there could be a gap somewhere. And now that you kind of get the gist of it, let's rip right through the rest of this and then see what it looks like at the end. So here we have our finished tree. Well, almost finished. I mean, we are going to make a couple changes, but this is pretty much what it's going to look like. And you may have noticed at the end of the time lapse that I did shrink it down quite a bit. And that's just, you know, that's one thing that I admittedly need to get better at as well. And I kind of had it going in too quick for how tall it was. You know, the leaves should be out here a little bit more if we wanted to reach all the way up to the height which it was at. But also, it's just such an easy fix to shrink it down that it's truly not a big deal. Now, there are a couple things I want to change. It does look just a little bit thin right through here, and there's also one block right there that I think sticks out a little bit too far. So let's go all the way around the other side and see what it looks like down here as well. So from the other side, you can definitely see that one block. If I took that out, that may fix fix just about everything. But yeah, there's a couple gaps up through like the top middle area that I may go add some leaves into. But also, talking about trees and how they are imperfect, I do like the general shape of this and how it looks. So let's just try getting up there and removing that one single block and see how much that helps. Now, it was this one, so let's get that out of there. So now we got rid of that little bulge out on the right side from that angle, and then also from over here we should see a little bit thicker leaves throughout the upper middle. And yeah, we do actually. That looks a little bit better. So I think we're going to end up keeping this tree just as is. So the gaps that are left, they're not too big. They just kind of look like a branch had fallen off or something. And from right here, there's a little awkward spot right in there, but I think we'll keep that just for a little added character. I do enjoy it. So yeah, I think we're going to keep this tree just as is. So let's do a little miniature one right next to it real quick. And when I say real quick, I mean real quick. These things are very, very easy to do, and they go very fast. So let's see. We'll do it right about here, and we'll place the fence. We'll hop on top, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, we'll do 7. We'll do 7 on top of it. So it's 8 blocks tall. I should have added leaves while I was up there. That was an oopsie. So let's see. We got the leaves up there now. Let's add some along the sides. And then these ones, even though they are quite a bit easier, they're just a little awkward because they're so small that you really don't want them to look, weird. So we just kind of, work them like this. We'll probably come down to about here. And yeah, let's throw some leaves all the way around at this level. And that's actually pretty decent. This one's pretty small compared to the other ones that I've done, but I think we might leave this one just like that. How does that look? That's actually not too bad. So yeah, those are the little ones. Let's actually do one more. We'll go right there just to do one more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We'll go a little bit taller, I think. So then let's see. We'll do the same thing we did on the other one. This one's going to kind of blend into the full-size tree next to it, which is fine. And then now, since this one's just a little bit taller, we can go a little funkier. So I think we'll bring it down a bit, but then also I think we'll be able to go out an extra block. So let's go like right here, and then maybe we'll throw another one here. Keep working our way down, fill in where we can fill in. Don't want it to look uniform, don't want it to look terrible. It's kind of a line that you got to meet in the middle, you know what I mean? And here we have it, another small spruce tree to go next to the other small spruce tree to go. I'm going to add another leaf right in there to go. Oh, I missed a spot up here actually. There could be another added couple leaves like that right up there. That'll look a little bit better, I think. Oh yeah, that gives it some more volume. And it's just a matter of detailing it and, tying it into the landscape. So I'll just do a little bit of this quick, what I typically do. Just, kind of add some bushes around, some shrubs here and there. And, just kind of make it look like it's natural. Of course, we've got to put some of the leaf litter down. I love the leaf litter. So what I typically do is, make it pretty heavy in the empty spots underneath the tree. Just because, that's where most of the leaves, or the needles in this case, would drop. So we'll do a little something like this throughout here. Maybe we'll take out some of these and add some more in down here under the tree. And then once we get, sporadic a little bit outside, this is going to make you a little bit dizzy. But yeah, I just kind of spam it around and, spin around so it's not always the same corner of the block. How they always go to the same bottom right corner, whichever way you're standing. You always want to, spin around so that it doesn't continue doing that all the way. It'll make it look a little bit more natural. And then once we're good with that, I'll go through and find any empty areas and just grow the grass, give it the natural feel, the unkept feel, and, make it just feel like a forest for that matter. So yeah, that's about it. We've got our trees done. I kind of walked you through my techniques and how I go about it all. We did the ground cover, made it look a little bit more natural, and that is where we're gonna leave this one. We did a couple little baby spruce trees, and then we did a nice big spruce tree back there, which, by the way, is a little bit more like an eastern hemlock than a spruce, which eastern hemlock is very popular in upstate New York. So maybe I just built a tree that I'm used to looking outside and seeing. But we're going to call it a spruce tree anyways for the sake of the video. But yeah, anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope this helps you with your endeavors into building spruce trees. And don't forget to subscribe and, check out the whole series I got going on, or be on the lookout for any more tutorials I have in the future. But yeah, I hope to see you guys back here soon. And I love you guys. Bye.